We have a major problem with how we ramp new account executives. Your new AEs are being declared ramped at 3 or 6 months, but can they actually run discovery or execute the sales process without you jumping in to save them? Most can't, and that's the problem. Most sales teams ramp reps based on time in seat and not capability-based onboarding where you certify your new sellers. So I built a playbook full of frameworks, implementation roadmaps, and infrastructure guides that cut ramp time in half and have proven to improve win rates by 75%, and it's completely free. So stop this episode right now and go and download the Sales Readiness Playbook at therevenueenabler.com or use the link in the description below. Kate, for the 10 people that don't know who you are, because you've got this really cool story, how about you tell those 10 people, who are you, what are you up to, and then we'll jump into the conversation.
Hi, I'm Kate. First and foremost, I'm mum of 2, so I've got 2 littlies. I've got a 7-year-old and a 4-year-old, so I'm a commercial leader, but I'm also a busy mum as well, and I think it's important to kind of call that out. But yeah, I've had a really varied background, but I've been in sales for about 15 years now. And I've done varied roles. I was previously regional director at Salesforce, and I've just moved to Multiverse, and I'm building a team of salespeople. And I'm really excited to talk to you today about sales and leadership and why I think it's a really exciting time to join my team.
So from your perspective, Kate, how do you define a top performer? Like the things that you were talking about in your story, which are, elite, and talk about what makes those things different compared to like an average performer that would have complained about that territory, about that account, and probably will miss their number.
For sure. I mean, so the role that I'm in now at Multiverse is obviously a very, very different business to Salesforce. Salesforce, 85,000 people. Multiverse is very much scale up. I'm a new RD developing a new patch in a new area. And so absolutely, the skills that I'm looking for now are people who 100% are driven. They have this drive to succeed. They have a drive to build their business and to build their career and to learn. Multiverse is a medic playbook business as well. So there's huge opportunity to learn and develop on the job. And I think a lot of businesses miss that at the moment. But fundamentally, what do you need to be successful? Like, what's the secret sauce? What's the formula? For me, curiosity is absolutely the number one thing. If you're not curious, if you're not, intelligent enough to go and just be humble and ask the questions that you need to ask to get to understand what you need to understand about the customer, you're never going to be successful. Sitting behind a desk and reading, a website is not enough anymore. It doesn't cut it. You need to find other ways to lean in and be creative. So curiosity, really important. And then I think it's just this like innate drive. I don't know how to describe it. The most successful people that I've worked with have just got this inner hunger in them. One of the other regional directors described it as they've got the dog in them. And I totally know what they mean. It's like the dog with the bone mentality. You know what I mean? It's just that and it's just people who do things in their life that just push them forward or take them out of their comfort zone and do things differently. I mean, on top of everything else, I ran the London Marathon 2 years ago, and I'm now training to run the London Marathon next year. And you just, I think people who just naturally have this like, what's my next goal? What's my next challenge? How do I diversify? How do I learn something new? How do I push myself? And that's absolutely the type of people I want in my team, because I think the other stuff you can train. You can train, you can coach, you can support, you can bring out. But if you don't have drive and you don't have curiosity, you're just going to struggle. It's just going to be like against your natural way of being. There's a phrase that I use, and a lot of people who know me will probably be like, oh God, here she goes again. But Meraki, have you heard this phrase Meraki before?
I know the business, Meraki, but...
Okay, well, the original origins of Meraki, it's a Greek word.
Okay.
And it means to do, I've actually got it framed here. It's like it's in the frame above my, you probably can't read it, it's too small, but it says Meraki. Meraki is a Greek word, and it means to do something with love, to do something with purpose, and to put something of yourself into your work. And I just adore it. I absolutely adore it, because I think that when you live in Meraki, you'll never have Sunday night blues because you're in your authentic state. Do you know what I mean? You're just like,
Yeah.
work and home kind of become synonymous with each other, and you are this work person, and you are you're kind of the same. And I think you can tell people, or salespeople, who are not really being Meraki, they're there because they're totally money driven. And there are a lot of people that are very money driven, but I think you really need to challenge yourself on that, because it can lead to bad behaviors. You can really do some like questionable things that you think, actually, is that morally the right thing to do? I think we've all been there when we've inherited accounts, and we've looked at what's happened historically in deals that have been done. And you're like, I'm concerned about that.
Yeah.
But if you're really passionate about what you do, and you bring your true authentic self to your work, it shines in everything you do. And you're just in your natural state, and you can grow, and you can challenge yourself, and everyone makes mistakes. I embrace mistakes. I think actually failure means you've learned. And in a previous life, I worked for Dyson, and that's one of the wonderful takeaways that I have from Dyson, is that James Dyson always talks about, let's celebrate failure. I mean, when he was building the vacuum, I can't remember how many thousands of iterations he failed before he finally made the first bagless vacuum. But that culture of let's fail is actually really, really exciting, because
Yeah.
it's a space to grow rather than
Yeah. And fail fast as well.
fail fast. Yeah, like let's try, let's go, let's send. People sit in fear too much. Oh, I'm scared to send that email. Oh, it's scary emailing a CEO. Oh, I don't want to send it. And I think if you are being authentic in what you're saying, if you've really like thought about what you want to say or why you want to say it, you're not going to offend anybody, but
Yeah.
you've got to bring this essence of yourself, and that's something that AI can never replace. So I'm big AI advocate, by the way, huge AI advocate. But I think AI is just going to enable us to be more Meraki.
So just before we jump into, some of the frameworks and strategies that you're running with your team over at G2, maybe just give the listeners a quick intro into who you are, maybe a little bit about your journey, and then why you think this is such an important topic for leaders to be listening to, and then we'll jump into the conversation.
Sure. So my name is Coralie De Robert. I have been working in tech for about 7 or 8 years. Before that, I was a journalist for a few years in France, in French, and I've been living in London for about 12 years now. I started my tech career as an SDR at Peakon, that then got bought out by Workday, which was a great way to start the career, because very high trajectory, high growth, fantastic sales academy to quickly learn. And then I spent over 4 years at Salesloft, where I moved into leadership. And then in January of this year, I joined G2, and I am the Director of Account Management in EMEA. Got 9 people in the team. And the reason why I think talent assessment development is so important is that ultimately, if you manage to help everyone reach their full potential, this is for me the fastest and most secure way to have consistent results and have very happy teams. I believe happy teams are successful teams.
From your perspective then at G2, like how do you currently assess talent in your team? Have you got like a framework, a process, a strategy that you typically lean into?
Yeah, I do. When I joined the team is the first thing, right? I had a very classic people, product, process approach. But the most important bit is the people. And I do have a framework. So the first thing I do is actually ask them, which is very important, is have one-on-ones which are dedicated to having an understanding of where people are coming from, where is it that they want to go, and where is it that they're self-assessing themselves, in terms of their skills development, strength. So a typical question which I also ask in interviews is, what makes you good at your job? What's your superpower? What are the things that you can teach others? And then ask for examples, obviously, because you want to make sure that people are self-aware, and also you want to make sure that they're not just chatting you up, and that you can double check that. So this is very important. And then the second part is, where is it that you're not very good? Where is it that you need to get better? Or where is the one thing that you might never really be good at, but that you're self-aware about this, and that's fine, because we're going to be building teams that have multiple skills. So this is super important, and not only tells me the actual skills of that person, it tells me a lot about their soft skills, and that self-awareness, that vulnerability, that honesty they can have with me, their ability to learn, or their desire to get coaching or learn. That's my first step. Then I've got a framework which is basically a spreadsheet, in which I have specific skills that I believe are necessary for the jobs that we're doing. So it's going to be things that are very hard skills around sales methodologies and the application of these methodologies. We're a medpic house here. Very core things such as discovery, negotiation, and then there's a scale. Where do you think you are on that scale? And then softer skills. How personable are you? Good are you at building champions, or positioning yourself internally, or forecasting, things like this. And what we do is that after I've spent time with the team, I assess them, they assess themselves, and then we meet up and we compare notes. And based on that, it gives me a framework to develop them. So we decide on, like, we're going to do some co-coaching, we're going to read some books, we're going to do some trainings. So there's an entire way for me to assess the team skills and the individual skills at the same time.
Maybe just give the listeners just a quick overview of, who you are, your role, a little bit about your journey, just for context, and then we can maybe jump into that conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a VP of sales here at MBF. I started at MBF 7 years ago to this month, which it's been a wild ride. It was one of my first sales roles, so I came in very much at entry level as a business development manager, never having worked in sales before. And over the last 7 years, have spent my time as an individual contributor. I then worked as a sales manager, so directly managing the reps who are contributing to new business targets. And now I'm leading one of our newest product suites. So as part of that, I not only lead the revenue driving activities, but I'm also responsible for more of the commercial strategy. So sort of our go-to-market plan, and also working with a lot of different functions internally to actually create, develop, and take these new products out to market.
How important do you think curiosity is, Jess, in what you just said there? Because we can set the plan. A lot of people do a set and forget. Here's a plan. We'll crack on, stay in our lane, which I'm a big fan of. But I think a lot of people lack curiosity. I read a book a long time ago. I think it's called The Curiosity Manifesto or something like that. And the chap's a very kind of intelligent man. He did a lot of research on it, and he found that something like the average 6-year-old asks 126 questions a day. What's this? What's that? Why are we doing this? Etc. And then the average adult over 30 in the workplace asks at best 6. So there's definitely research out there, I think, that shows that we just get less curious the older we get in some cases. That took curiosity, right? For you to keep your ear close to the ground, keep looking around. And then when you see something, go, I wonder why that is like that. I wonder why they do it like that. Why do we do it like this, right? And then it forces you to go and explore. And then you can come back and bring rich insights. Was that part of that process, do you think?
Absolutely. I could honestly do an entire hour's podcast with you on the importance of curiosity in sales, not just in sales, but in business. It is the one competency that every time I interview somebody for a sales position, it's the one that I'm really, really looking for. So, advice to any aspiring salespeople who are listening is, if you're in an interview, the ability to show that you're curious, ask those questions, always come to an interview with some really smart questions about the company or about the individual who's interviewing you, that is going to go such a long way. And it's one of the reasons actually that I've been at MBF for so long, is that the entire business promotes curiosity. We've actually just gone through a process of reworking our company values. We've been through quite a few changes. We've got a new CEO who's come in, and he wanted to reset the company values. And actually, the one that came out of our leadership offsite that everybody in the business knew had to be one of our values was curiosity, because it is the way that we live our mantras. You need to be asking, why are we doing this? You need to be asking, why are we not doing this? If you stop questioning, you stop developing, and you stop creating new opportunities. So yeah, in conclusion, curiosity is important.
If there's one thing that you would leave, the listeners with, because you've been there, 7 years, and you've gone from BDM to VP, and also now, owning cross-functionally, that's pretty impressive. Like, is there anything you would give the listeners, like maybe a tip? Like, is it cross-functional? Is it managing up? Is it something else that you'd give them that's like, hey, this has really helped you, accelerate that journey?
Yeah, I would probably bring it back to that curiosity point and just re-emphasize that what has, I believe, got me to the position that I'm in today is always trying to understand the why, whether that's the internal why, whether it's the why with your clients, whether it's the, why are we doing any of this, is that will open up the topics that you need in order to actually get you to the outcome that you're looking for. So whether it's bringing on the new clients, whether it's being able to, win that internal resource that you need to drive your opportunities forward versus another department, versus another salesperson, versus whoever it is, I think asking those questions, building that trust, being transparent, and always making sure that you're providing the context. It's something that I say to a lot of my new starters when they come in and they're starting to ask for discounts in order to get a deal across the line, or they're trying to win that piece of internal resource that they need in order to get their new client live, is if you just go and make that request, the probability of somebody dropping what they're already doing to help you is going to be quite low. But if you can bring the context, you can say, I need X, Y, and Z because this client is really keen, but they've got to sign off their budget by this date. Otherwise, it's a use it or lose it situation. That's what's going to allow people to actually get behind the project with you. And everyone then knows the why, and you're all kind of striving in the same direction. So in summary, I'd say my piece of advice would be always stay curious, context is key, and remember why.
All right, thanks for listening to this episode. I've got something else I want to give you before we wrap up here. So we've built the leading skill optimization platform with 400 plus sales lessons, 12 courses from prospecting all the way through to late stage deal negotiation and more, one-to-one sales coaching and AI sales assistance. And I want to give you 7 days free access to the platform. The reason I want to do this is because nobody gets a degree in B2B sales. And after training and coaching hundreds of sales reps and teams in the last 2 years, most haven't mastered critical selling skills. And it's preventing them from being promoted, earning great money, and building a great career in B2B sales. So go to therevenueenabler.com, grab a free trial, and join hundreds of salespeople that are closing their skill gaps and mastering sales. There's a link in the video description. I'm looking forward to getting you set up. Give me a shout with any questions.